What's going on YouTube? My name is Sim and welcome to my Spider-Man 2 final story predictions, guys. We are just a week away, literally 7 days. Can you guys believe it? It's been such a long wait, but we are 7 days away from the game and I'm so excited. Talking about the game, I'm giving a copy away completely for free. It's going to be a digital deluxe copy given away. I'll go ahead and link that down below so you guys can find out how to enter if you haven't already, as well as I'm going to be doing a full walkthrough of this game and DLC included if there's any DLC, but I'm going to be doing a full walkthrough of the game. So if you guys like the content, go ahead and subscribe down below, and part 1 will be dropping October 20th, and let's get right into it. So guys, before you get into it, I want everybody to know watching this video, if you have seen any leaks, please do not spoil this game for anybody. I have not seen any leaks. The only thing I have seen is suits. I'm not going to mention any suits or anything like that. I have seen the suits. Unfortunately, I did not mean to see them, but I did see them. So stay off of Twitter, stay off of TikTok, especially Twitter and TikTok. Those are the worst ones I've seen. So stay off those if you do not want anything spoiled. And if you have seen anything, please do not go and spoil it for others unless they ask for it. And you know, please don't do it in my comments because I don't want anything spoiled for me. I want to experience this game fully for the first time. I know the suits are one thing, but the story is completely something different. We've been waiting 5 years for. So let's get right into it. I want to start off by saying this. I spoke about it in my wishlist video. If you have not seen that, I'll go ahead and link that down below as well. That I am not a Harry Venom fan. So I'm gonna just get that right off the gate right away. Just want to say that. So let's hop right into Act 1. So I'm not sure if this was true or not, but I think about a year or so ago we got a leak, potential leak. I doubt it's real, but a potential leak saying that spoilers if this is true, but I doubt it is, saying there was a serial killer that Harry and Miles were trying to find. You know, that's, you know, a possibility for a story aspect, because we can leave that, you know, serial killer into multiple different people that could end up being. Personally, if there is, I would like to see it be Cletus Cassidy, and I will get into that later. I know, calm down, we haven't even got to Venom yet, but Cletus Cassidy is somebody I would like to see kind of in this game. I'm gonna explain it, I'll get to it, I promise. I'm not rushing this, I promise. I do not want these guys to rush it. I am confident in Insomniac, so this is my prediction, so don't come at me. If you guys like them, if you guys agree with them, let me know down in the comments. But anyways, starting off in Act 1, we got a couple things going on. Like I said, the serial killer, as well as Yuri Watanabe, going around as Wraith. You know, we left her off at the DLC where she was becoming, you know, full rogue, full vigilante. So, you know, we still got that going on, as well as Harry's return. So Harry is seemingly healthy now. That's what everybody is believing. That's what he believes. That's what his dad believes. That's what Kurt Connors believes. That's what, you know, his friends believe. That's what everybody believes. So that's what Harry's, you know, sickness is looking like right now. Where whether it's they believe the symbiote or whatever they want to call it is what, you know, cured him. That's what's going on. And the first opening scene that I think is going to be is just a flashback of, you know, Norman trying to convince Harry to get in the symbiote, into the tank, the what's, like, I don't know, like not cryogenic tank, but y'all know what it is, the shit that Darth Vader be in. I can't remember the name of it, but even before that, I would like to see, you know, a flashback of the meteor crashing down, and obviously Oscorp getting it. I wanted to see that and, you know, get a little bit more backstory. Obviously it's from space, so that is confirmed, at least I believe so. You know, I mean, it looks like it came down from space. So get that going, and then obviously show, you know, the past of when Harry had to be talked into going into the tank anyway. So that's that. Harry's no longer sick, and we can you know, kind of, I'm not going into the very little details. I'm kind of doing big plot points. I'm not sure the filler details and everything like that. I just want to give my, like, you know, gist of the story, what I would, you know, predict and how I would do it. And if this is somehow the story, don't blame me if it somehow is. I have not seen any leaks, I promise you, because I do not want to spoil this game for myself. But this is something how I would like to see the story go. Not obviously not in the full detail, but this is how I would like to see it go. You know, Kurt Connors obviously still missing an arm, and he has previously been the Lizard. We know that from, you know, Spider-Man 1, there was a Easter egg of I think a vial of a serum that Peter used to heal him. or transform him back, as well as the lizard costumes at the Halloween party at the college that we saw. So we obviously know that Kurt has been the lizard before, but Kurt is now using the symbiote to try to pick pieces out, or try to find a way to take whatever healing aspect it has, that obviously it cured Harry's disease, that killed his mom. It cured that, so he's trying to use it to heal his arm back. And then we can kind of transpire from that. He uses his his brain, his knowledge of what he did to regenerate his arm before with the lizard serum, to try to get a serum that actually works, that causing him to become a version of the lizard who grows bigger and badder than before. Obviously there has been some concept art shown by Insomniac, I believe, of the lizard with the lab coat, and eventually he grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. So that's where we can get the the story aspect of he used a symbiote to become a bigger, badder lizard. If he was never that big, I'm not sure exactly how big he got previously, but obviously he was small enough to fit in the lab coat. So then we can show transfer over to Craven, being wherever he is. I'm not sure where they're gonna have him be from in this game, but we can show him obviously trying to find somebody who's an equal, or who he can really hunt and enjoy the hunt. And then obviously we get that scene from the gameplay trailer of his grunt, or whatever you want to call him. Let's go to New York City type shit, what I'm saying. We can fast forward like a month or so, or not even really a month, like maybe a week. Peter doesn't know about the lizard yet, excuse me. Maybe he's still smaller in the sewers, or maybe Peter's just trying to find him, whatever. Craven shows up, and he can either be hunting Wraith, or Black Cat, or one of the older villains. Maybe there's one that got out of prison. Maybe it's Tombstone. Someone like Electro, or Vulture maybe got out, and whatever the case may be, he's hunting somebody down that gets a hold of Spider-Man, like, yo, this dude's trying to kill me, like, what's going on? I'm not really sure what's happening, especially if it's somebody like Black Cat. Obviously Yuri would want that static, but definitely somebody who will reach out, or at least Peter will take notice to, that is getting hunted by some gigantic dude with a lion's mane. But while he's doing that, you can show Craven seeing Lizard somehow, whether it's on TV or in the distance or whatever, and Lizard basically catches his eye. He's like, I want that, that's gonna be my hunt. That's the biggest of the baddest around here, at least so he thinks. Peter, going into the next part, Peter is still looking for Connors, trying to find him and bring him back to his normal self. And he's at his home. Whatever the case may be, he eventually discovers the symbiote, and whether it latches onto him now, or he just notices it, and he's like, what, why is he using this? His what Harry used, whatever the case may be, he realizes this thing is alive, almost has like a mind of its own, which you can either lead that into Peter getting the symbiote and lead it into the gameplay trailer, or you can just leave it at that. Maybe Peter just leaves it at that, he doesn't get it yet, or maybe it latches onto him like a small piece, and eventually it needs to go back to the other piece, so it drives Peter kind of to want to go back to the rest of it, to merge with it. So then you can go over to maybe a couple days later, Craven's getting bored, not being able to find the lizard, or whatever the case may be. Craven causes the raft breakout that we see in the trailer, which I believe is what we're seeing with Martin Lee and Miles seeing each other, as well as the scene of Yuri standing at the fiery brick building. Now, let me get into this part right here. This is going to extend on this a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put it up on screen. Yuri is standing at the door. We see Peter, or Spider-Man, excuse me, laying on the ground, and somebody else is to his right. We have no idea who this is. From what I can tell, this is a white male. It looks like a bigger person. So it's definitely not Miles. Miles isn't white. And we don't know any really other white male besides Peter that's a main story aspect, at least not that I can believe. I don't believe it's Genki. You know, Genki's a little chubbier, so I don't believe it's him. This guy looks a little bit more built. I know it's a small like scene, but I definitely think this guy is a bit more built. You know, more like muscular, I should say. So I don't think this is J. Jonah Jameson as well. We obviously haven't seen him, you know, full body. So I think this might be Eddie Brock. We can start tying Eddie Brock into the main story here, where Eddie Brock is trying to chase down both Yuri Watanabe and the Lizard / Kurt Connors to try to get a story, because he is either working under Mary Jane Watson at the Daily Bugle, or he's jealous of Mary Jane Watson, or he wants to impress her because he likes her. Whatever the case may be, he's trying to in some way tie this back to the Bugle and break the story and get a promotion, you know, impress MJ or beat MJ because he doesn't like her. Whatever aspect they want to go to with that story and that relationship between Eddie and Mary Jane, and obviously the Bugle, because we know from, I believe, the comics in between the games that J. Jonah Jameson has bought back the Bugle. So we know Mary Jane became like lead reporter or whatever the case may be. So we know she's top dog, or one of the top dogs there. So maybe Eddie is trying to become one of those, because we know Eddie works at the Bugle, because in Spider-Man Remastered or Spider-Man PS4, whatever you want to call it, there was a book bag that you pick up where it's a goodbye card from the Daily Bugle, where Peter leaves the Daily Bugle, and it is signed Eddie Brock. I think it says like pleasure working with you or something. I'll put it up on screen. But that is a Easter egg. I believe there was one in Miles Morales too. If I can find it, I will. Maybe I'm you know, thinking of something else, but I believe there was a story on like in a newspaper or online or something, I think about Rhino, or maybe it was Simon Krieg. I think that was a villain's name in Miles. I have to replay it before the game comes out, but it was you know, like authored or whatever, like wrote by Eddie Brock, you know what I mean? If I'm remembering right, if you guys remember that, go ahead and let me know down in the comments down below. So we have Eddie tied in, you know, we can even have Peter working at the Bugle because he has no job. Otto is locked up, so Peter has no job, he needs to pay his bills. And if I remember in that comics too, Peter is living at May's house, her old house, because he's trying to take care of that house and, you know, keep it in his family. And I believe he wants Mary Jane to move in with him as well. So there's that. So he needs to make money, and he's doing that via the Bugle, obviously taking pictures of Spider-Man because, you know, he is Spider-Man. So you can have Eddie kind of, you know, annoying Peter with that, as well as you can even create the dynamic that Peter maybe, you know, sees Eddie as a threat. Maybe he's trying to flirt with MJ or whatever the case may be. Peter becomes jealous, whatever, and then the symbiote, once Peter gets that, is just, you know, heightening that, and it's pissing Peter off even more, and it's causing Peter to dislike this guy even more, as well as, you know, he's trying to break a story, and even maybe even Eddie becomes, you know, kind of fascinated with Spider-Man and wants to take pictures of Spider-Man, and obviously that's Peter's job because Peter is Spider-Man. He's obviously going to get the best pictures. And then it can even go into the point where, you know, we go on the comics or the 90s animated show, you know, route, or even Spider-Man 3 route, where, you know, Eddie goes to the point of trying to find Spider-Man doing something bad, because obviously JJJ hates Spider-Man. So that's enough about that aspect. I wanted to lay the ground for that, obviously build that relationship, build the foundation for that, build the backstory for that, if Eddie is Venom, which I'm hoping and I believe that he somehow will be. I feel like, you know, saying Eddie Brock is not Venom blatantly is weird, considering, you know, I believe the question was who is Venom, and they blatantly said it's not Eddie Brock, it's not a Brock Venom, or whatever the case may be, whatever Brian Intihar said at the showcase. I feel like that was weird to say. If I remember, I think he may have asked if it was Eddie Brock, but it was weird because, you know, if they're gonna say it's not that person and then hint heavily, you know, that it's Harry from the both post credit scenes, and then also the story trailer with Venom and Harry saying the same exact line, I think it's really, really, really weird to not come out and say, you know, hey, yeah, it's not Eddie Brock, it's Harry Osborn, he's our Venom. As well as, you know, I don't know which way they're going with this. It's kind of going to spill off into the Venom a little bit. I apologize. but I have to get this out because they said they're gonna create a brand new story. It's hard to create a brand new story with Venom. First of all, Venom is one of the most beloved comic book characters, especially by myself. He's my favorite comic book character. But I spoke about this in my wishlist video. Venom has to hate Spider-Man. The host has to hate Spider-Man as well. Also, most of these people in this game have became Venom. You know, there's a comic where Kraven became Venom. There's a comic where Scorpion became Venom. There's a comic where Harry became Venom, as well as Harry was Venom, and I believe Spectacular Spider-Man. I don't know which one it was. He was Venom in a animated show, so that's not completely original. And then obviously Eddie is the main host for Venom. You know, Flash Thompson, if he was shown, has been Venom and Agent Venom. And you could go on and on. Like Kingpin has been Venom before, a host for Venom before. There's been multiple hosts for Venom, including Peter, for the people who believe Peter will become Venom, even though I'm pretty sure you guys are fucking delusional if you still believe that. I mean, come on, God forbid, we have a statue of Venom fighting Peter and Miles. But anyways, they can't really do much original here unless they created a brand new character. You know, I mean, like a brand new character to give Venom to the host. And I feel like if they did that, it'd be a lot of backlash instead of following true to the comics. I feel like their best route is to play, you know, the Arkham Knight situation. Oh, it's not Jason Todd. It ended up being Jason Todd, even though we all knew it. Everybody thinks it's going to be Harry. No, very small amount of people believe it'll be Eddie, including myself. I know if I'm wrong, that's fine. As long as the story's good and, you know, it fits, I'll be fine. I love Venom and I want him to be Eddie. But as long as the story's good, I'll be okay. But I really do want it to be Eddie. Well, continuing on, that's enough spilling about that. We'll get on to more of that later. We can wrap up the outbreak at the raft with Kraven killing one or two villains that are, you know, bigger names, whether it's Vulture, Electro. Did Rhino die at the end of Miles Morales? I can't remember. I played that game through once, so if he is, you can even have him going on killing, you know, even Otto, if you really want to go that far. So then, you know, obviously Peter is starting to change, whatever, whether they give him the symbiote when he originally discovered it. I'm going to say he did for the sake of my story predictions. So Peter has a symbiote now. He is full-blown symbiote Spider-Man in his black suit. Symbiote Spider-Man is continuing to search for the lizard, and Miles is searching for Kraven after he has murdered multiple different people, including big-name villains. Going into Act 2, obviously I'm leaving out small details and story fillers, whatever. The lizard is still on the loose and Kraven wants him, so that can go eventually and lead on into the gameplay trailer where Peter is jumping out of the basement. I'm not sure how he gets back there or whatever, and then you can even tie that into the footage shown at the like where the YouTubers got to go play. With the big long boss fight of Lizard and then chasing Lizard and then having Kraven shoot his tail off, whatever. You can tie all that together and build off that however they wanted to. Over time, Peter obviously begins to change. Miles and MJ are trying to, you know, save him and keep him his normal loving self, his nerdy self that they know and love. And, you know, he's becoming more distant, more aggressive, and just overall building on that. Harry begins, you know, his hair falling out or whatever, you know, he's coughing up blood, whatever. Harry becomes sick again, and, you know, he's trying to keep it on the DL, but eventually people find out. And everyone's starting to fear, you know, Pete and the symbiote and the way he's becoming. He's struggling to, you know, take down Lizard, and he's getting aggravated with Kraven, so he eventually says something to Miles and MJ where he wants to permanently stop Kraven. We all know what that means. He's becoming more aggressive, and he eventually wants to cross that line of killing Kraven to just leave everything the way it is, because he needs Kurt Connors to save Harry, because he just recently found out Harry is sick again. Pete becomes, you know, more monstrous. That's where we get the ability of the symbiote surge. That can be at the gameplay where they showed off the symbiote surge. Symbiote surge, excuse me. Where he's there with Harry at the particle accelerator. I'm not really sure where that fits into the story, so we'll see about that. So I left that out because I really have no ideas about that. So he's becoming more monstrous, you know, the tendrils and the logo and his eyes, and just completely, he's just not sounding like himself, both literally and figuratively. He's not saying what Pete normally says he's not quippy, and his voice is beginning to change into more monstrous. You can even have, you know, Tony Todd's Venom voice pop out a few times. He eventually gets away from that situation where the particle accelerator was from. We kind of slow down the story a bit, you know, take it back. And you know, you can have him having issues with Miles. Miles wants to save everybody and stop Craven. He doesn't want to kill him. And you can also have Peter arguing with Mary Jane about the symbiote. She wants him to take it off. He doesn't want to. He is upset about Eddie and about the bugle. He doesn't want to take pictures no more. He just wants to stop the people who are hurting his city. He wants to kill Craven. He wants to get the lizard so he saves Harry, and he wants to be done with it. He's upset about Eddie and Eddie getting in his way. He's upset about Eddie and Mary Jane working alongside him. She's getting annoyed. He's getting pissed off. And we can also have Eddie, you know, snooping around even more and trying to take pictures of now symbiote Spider-Man doing bad things and, you know, lashing out at certain villains. You know, Harry finally gets through to Pete when Pete is just, you know, snapping off at everybody. So Pete goes on to hunt the lizard. There's a difference now. He's not looking for Curt Connors. He's hunting the lizard, similar to how Craven is, because Pete is fed up with it. Pete gets the serum eventually from Craven at the church that we saw in the gameplay. He doesn't have time for Craven. He's sick of Craven. He just wants a serum so he can save Curt Connors, so he can save his friend. I feel like when Peter said to Craven in the gameplay that I'm just here to save my friend, I don't feel like he was talking about Curt. I feel like he was talking about Harry. I feel like that's his priority right now, and once Harry's okay, he will deal with everything else. And that's the main thing, weighing him down with all his emotion. And we know that's what the symbiote dwells on, is emotion. So we go on to where Pete saved the lizard. And then we can get to where Curt is becoming himself again and really struggling to find any type of way that he can save Harry. So he needs to have the symbiote back on and go back into the tank. But Peter is refusing to give it to him because Peter feels like he needs it to be the superhero that he is now and to stop Craven. He won't give it up. He does not want to give it up. And eventually he continues to hunt Craven. Once we can go on where Peter continues to keep hunting Craven, and eventually he realizes how sick Harry is getting from a distance. Whether it's in the hospital or at Harry's house, he's from a distance. He's watching MJ and Norman, you know, dwell over what's, you know, impending doom for Harry. And eventually Peter realizes that the symbiote needs to go to Harry, but Harry cannot take the symbiote because he knows how it has changed. He knows how it has changed him and the way he's become now. He does not want that to happen to Harry, so he agrees to take it off, but they need to find another way to save him. So Peter, remembering what happened to him at the church with Craven, with the sound of the bell, he returns to the church, with Eddie following him. And now there's two ways I can have this go. This is about the end of Act 2 right now. We can either have Peter remove the symbiote at the church and leave it to die, and he believes it will die without a host, because Curt Connors has said this before, it has to be kept in that, you know, that tank or with a host, or it will not survive. We have him say that sometime in the beginning. Then we either have him leave it there for it to die, so nobody will, because the church is closed, you know, nobody's gonna go there late at night, it's going to die. But Eddie Brock is following him and eventually sees him take it off. He sees Peter Parker leave the church, but Spider-Man was the only one who went in. So now Eddie's starting to put the pieces together. He goes to see what Peter Parker was doing in there. He was looking around, he reaches into the darkness, and something black attacks him, latches onto his arm, it goes up his arm, and we fade into darkness. All we can see is the Venomized glow, and that is it. It fades into complete darkness. Or what we can do, because we haven't really established that, you know, Eddie Brock hates Pete. He has beef with Peter because, you know, Peter is being jealous. He's selling photos to J. Jonah Jameson when Eddie needs to sell those photos to get a promotion and get a higher, you know, paying, whatever the case may be. He's getting annoyed with Pete because, you know, he likes MJ, or he wants to sell the photos, and Peter's selling the photos. And he also just can't stand Spider-Man because Spider-Man's constantly in the way of him getting a story. And he's just getting annoyed with Spider-Man, or he's getting annoyed with Peter, and he's just starting to very dislike Peter, or dislike Spider-Man, excuse me, I keep switching it up. He very much is starting to dislike Spider-Man. That's why he wants to catch him doing something bad. He's just annoyed with Peter. He's starting to get irritated with Peter, and that can be that. So then you can have Pete hide the symbiote at Curt Connors' office where he originally found it. He has no reason for anybody to go back there, as Curt Connors is working at Norman's penthouse or whatever, and Norman is no longer with his wife and kid. So nobody's there. Nobody's gonna find it there. But Eddie can follow him and find that that's there. Have no idea what it is, but leave it there and just leave it at that. And then you can have Pete constantly keep beating him out of a story. So Eddie goes back to Curt Connors' house to try to find a big story, to break the story, to beat MJ, to beat Peter, or beat Peter and win over MJ, because I'm not sure if they're gonna make Eddie want to be with MJ, or just make Eddie just want to be top dog and be just want to be that guy. He goes back looking for a story, and he decides to open up this jar, or open up the canister, or open up the vat, whatever it's in, and the symbiote latches onto him. And then you see like a flash of the symbiote hating Peter for neglecting it, hating Peter and just for getting rid of it and just using it how it wanted to. And then you can have Eddie's memory show of just Eddie didn't realize it, but it was rage, it was hate building for Peter Parker, it was hate building for Spider-Man. It can just I'm missing smaller details that they will cause to be in there, but you can cause J. Jonah Jameson to stop giving Eddie Brock certain jobs, or even go to the point where he gets so fed up with Eddie not doing what he needs done, or not doing as good as MJ or Peter, and firing Eddie Brock and just saying, get out, you're done, you're not meeting my expectations, you're done, you're not breaking any good stories, you're not bringing me my money, you're not making the money, get out, you're done. And that's why Eddie goes to look for the story to become the top dog and gets a symbiote. So it all cuts to black once Venom latches onto Eddie. We see Venom eyes light up. We see his mouth, and he opens his mouth and says, "We must kill Spider-Man," in that beautiful Tony Todd Venom voice. And that is the end of Act 2. Act 3 goes into Peter trying to repair all of his relationships with MJ, with Miles, because there's beef between Miles. A lot of people seem to think that Miles will be the one to kind of push Peter to come back, which I can definitely see. I can absolutely see that. But there's a reason why Peter introduced Harry to Miles as his best friend. I feel like there's not a better connection there, because Miles is a kind of like a Padawan to Peter, but Peter sees Harry as his best friend that he grew up with. That's his brother. That's who that is to him. So I feel like Harry will be the one to snap Peter back into it. So Peter is repairing relationships with Miles, MJ, with Harry, Norman, or not really Norman, but he's just around Norman more. So he's repairing all that. Harry is dying more and more. Curt needs more time. He has nothing he can do. They're trying to find Spider-Man because they need the symbiote, and they need Peter to go into the vat with the symbiote so he can survive until that Curt can try to find a way to save him. So Norman eventually is so desperate that he pays Kraven to kill Spider-Man for the symbiote. He needs the symbiote more than anything, because he does not want to lose Harry at all, because that is what he lost Harry's mother to. He does not want Harry to die. That's the only person he has left. So he hires Kraven to kill Spider-Man for the symbiote. Kraven, whether he takes a hostage, whether he's blowing stuff up, whatever he does to get Spider-Man's attention, the Spider-Man emerge. Both Spider-Man emerge. And I'm focusing more on the aspect of Venom and Peter, because Miles will be a big part of this story, and he'll have his redemption arc with Lee. But this story, I feel like, is definitely still gonna follow very closely to Peter, because he's gonna be the big bad, not really big bad, but the big part of it with the symbiote. So both Spider-Man emerge And then Miles emerges first, with Peter emerging from the shadows in his advanced 2.0 suit that he originally had before he became the monster that was the black suit Spider-Man. Norman is with Harry at the penthouse watching TV. Spider-Man are fighting Kraven. Spider-Man are winning for the most part, but Kraven uses his tools, his gadgets, his hunting techniques, whatever he needs to get the upper hand. They're watching it on TV with a distant helicopter in the distance, whatever, phone footage, whatever. You know how they see in the movies or whatever the case, whatever it is, that there's somebody recording up close with the crisis that's happening. They're watching that, okay? Kraven gets the upper hand at a point where he is about to kill the Spider-Man. As Kraven is winning, darkness appears behind Kraven. It is a big, gigantic shadow that is behind, and Kraven turns around immediately with the knife or whatever weapon he has and immediately jabs it into this darkness because he sees it's a shadow. He thinks it's the person behind him. It is nothing but darkness. He looks up and he sees Venom. Venom's face, annoyed with Kraven's attempt to try to kill him, and he completely eats Kraven's head. Okay, we all thought Kraven was the big bad until this point, and Venom is here to show you Kraven is nothing compared to how big and bad Venom is. Venom eats Kraven's head right on the TV. Norman sees it and freaks out. They recognize what this is. They don't recognize who it is though, because Spider-Man no longer has it, and Spider-Man is extremely confused because he left it to die or he left it in the vat at Connor's house. So then we cut to the Venom scene from the trailer. Venom jumps away from the Spider-Man and starts attacking Kraven's goons. Like we saw, he's attacking the helicopter thing. He jumps into the group. We can even, if Venom is playable, this is where we become the one and only time that we can play as Venom and just utterly destroy everybody. Similar aspects to symbiote Spider-Man controls, but bigger, badder, whatever the case may be. Switches over to a cutscene. Venom is brooding bad, standing over bodies that he has just completely and utterly murdered of all of Kraven's goons. He looks at the two Spider-Men and it says, "We are coming for you, Spider-Man, but first we must heal the world." A saying that a symbiote heard from Harry when the symbiote was attached to Peter at the football field. The symbiote remembers this saying and is taking it to heart. The symbiote heard the saying and felt the saying when the symbiote was attached to Peter from Harry. So Harry was healed at this point, so Harry was better. I feel like this is later on where Harry's talking about his new plans with his newfound life that he has, because he wants to heal the world like how he was healed. He wants to save people from situations like his mother, like him. He wants to heal people. So I don't think this is Harry saying it as Venom. I feel like this is the symbiote and Eddie Brock saying it. This is more the symbiote speaking to Spider-Man, because it's basically telling you I'm something too. You neglected me, but I'm gonna show you how big and bad I am. And then you can even switch over to a half face, or even the face being revealed to Eddie, and Eddie saying something to Peter as well. Basically, you have MJ, who I believe has said, "Go get him, Tiger," or you could have MJ saying that to Spider-Man, or to Peter. In the story, you can have Eddie reveal his face and say something along the lines of "Go get him, Tiger," or something regarding Tiger, to show that Eddie is telling Peter, "I know who you are under that damn mask, and we are coming for you." So the heal the world situation is going to be kind of like a web of shadow style. Not as big. We're not having a gigantic four-headed Venom. That's not happening. But we're gonna have symbiote nest. Venom is spreading. Venom is getting bigger, stronger, better, and they need to find a way to stop it. With Kurt Connor's help, Mr. Lee and Miles have agreed to work together to use either Lee's negative powers and Miles' electric powers to create some kind of form of anti-venom serum to kill the nest, and to also deactivate the symbiote off of the host, who is Eddie Brock. This is a long span, mind you. I'm leaving out a lot of details. This is we're not going to zoom through Venom and just be that. It's going to be a long section. It's going to be about the section from when we discovered Dr. Octavius to the ending of Dr. Octavius. So it's a long section. So Lee finally gets his redemption, as well as Miles, arc becoming the true Spider-Man. He's forgiving Lee for what he did in order to save the city from the biggest, baddest villain it has ever seen in Venom. So once they take out the nest and start, detaching the multiple different heads that Venom has, and Venom can even use these people who the symbiote have attached to speak through them, to see through them, to know everything in the city. So they have to kind of move in the shadows, move in the darkness to attack these nests to get Venom to be weaker. So then once all that is all said and done, the Spider-Man look for Venom. Venom appears, but with MJ and Rio Morales. So with Venom knowing who Peter is Spider-Man, and also being attached to Peter / Spider-Man, he knows Miles is Spider-Man, and he knows who Miles' mom is. He wants to get them vulnerable the same way that Spider-Man left the symbiote and Eddie vulnerable. Eddie was seen as the runt of the Daily Bugle, or even was fired because of how good Peter did or how badly Peter treated him, and the symbiote felt neglected by Peter Parker and by Spider-Man. So they want them to feel the same way. They want the Spider-Man to feel helpless the same way Eddie Brock and the symbiote did. They want them to feel helpless the same way Venom did. We get the final fight. It's going to be a long fight. It's going to be a long, brooding fight. Venom will grow. Venom will change. Venom will morph into a more monstrous form. But eventually, we do get the anti-serum put into Venom, where Venom is neutralized. The symbiote unfortunately has to detach from Eddie, and they're separated for the time being because the symbiote is affected from this, so it won't be able to bond with anybody until this anti-serum is taken out of its system, which will happen over time. But that is enough of that. We can switch back over to Eddie being arrested and the symbiote being taken somewhere safe only the Spider-Man know, or somewhere safe where they know it's secure, as well as we switch over to Norman and Harry still watching TV. And Norman is blaming Spider-Man for ruining the symbiote now because he needs the symbiote. And Harry is pleading his father, please don't hate Spider-Man. Spider-Man's my best friend, as Harry flatlines. Harry dies at the end of this game, and Norman finally knows a piece that he did not know before, that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. That's where we're going to end the chunk of the main story. We will end it with Harry's funeral, MJ, Miles, if MJ and Rio both survive the Venom situation, they both will be there, as well as whatever happens with Yuri, whether she's all the way back or not, I'm not really sure. Like I said, I'm leaving a big chunk of detail that I don't want to go into detail upon everything because this video is already long. We're gonna get Harry's funeral and kind of get hints that the Goblin's coming, okay? But Norman's not going to reveal to Peter that he knows. He just is going to be nasty and mean with Peter. But then we go into my 2 post-credit scenes. Okay, the first one we have is Eddie being locked up with a cellmate. He's actually being locked up next to a serial killer that he helped break a story on earlier this game, which was about a month ago at this point. He helped break the story on a killer named Cletus Cassidy, who was murdering people, burning down orphanages. He is locked up right next to them because he is seen as a serial killer and a mass murderer as well as Cletus Cassidy. So he's in a max security prison next to Cletus Cassidy, and all he wants to do is get back to his symbiote and wreak havoc over the city and kill Spider-Man. We get one more set of credits, and then we go into the final post-credit scene. We see Norman Osborn working on something. We get a cut to black, and all we get to see is 2 green eyes lighting up, and then we get a metal kind of shard looking almost like a stand that someone's standing on, with a gasp of fire coming out of an exhaust. And that is the end of Spider-Man 2, which will lead us into Spider-Man 3, where the 2 main villains will be Cletus Cassidy as Carnage, but the most important villain that's been building up across 2.5-3 games now will be Green Goblin, who is Norman Osborn. But that is it, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy. I literally wrote this down in a notebook, so I didn't lose anything. I will have to cut it up. This is 41 minutes I've been recording, so if this is long, I apologize. But if you guys are excited for Spider-Man 2 as much as I am, you guys are gonna love the video. I hope you guys did. So if you guys did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe below if you haven't already. If you guys are noticing something about my camera, I did get a brand new face cam, so I hope it looks good. I want to get a little bit of an upgrade before Spider-Man 2 because I want a whole bunch of new people to come here and be like, this guy's pretty cool, this guy's videos is nice, let's stick around here. I do got to get a little bit more better lighting, but I do hope you guys did enjoy. Like I said in the beginning, if you have not entered my giveaway, go ahead and do so. It'll be linked down below, and my Spider-Man 2 wish list will also be linked down below. So that is it. Spider-Man, the final part of my walkthrough, Spider-Man Remastered with mods, will be out in the next day or so, as well as I'll drop another probably another scary video, 1 or 2 next week, and then we will be at Spider-Man 2 just a week away, 7 days, guys. I hope you guys are excited just like I am. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.